Okay, hi. So, welcome to this very exciting session on flexibility. I think this has been a big talk in this Enlit conference. I think our panelists before were talking about some very interesting things. So I would just like to start by reminding a few very quick data points. Like, did you know that as per a very recent IEA publication, to reach our climate goals, we need to build 40 million miles of power lines, right? So we were actually looking at what's the distance from the Earth to Mars. This is even more than that, right? So did you know that 40% of the grid is actually more than 40 years old? And did you know that to meet all our climate challenges just in Europe, we need to invest 400 billion euros. So this just shows the big burning platform we are sitting at. And this is where we believe that flexibility and the engagement that we can bring with prosumers can really be a big game changer. So it's Shub and Ludo from Team Schneider. So before starting, we wanted to just very quickly share with you what's our vision of how to solve one of the biggest crisis challenge of this civilization, right? It's how to reach that energy transition, the net zero goal. And we are talking of some numbers of 2030. So we are not talking very far. It's pretty soon. And our vision is more digital, more electric. That's what we call Electricity 4.0 at Schneider, which will unlock this challenge. And behind this Electricity 4.0, today we want to share some very practical, very concrete projects, use cases that we partnered with 4 different customers and Microsoft to show how we are bringing this to life, right? So we want to be very practical, showing how we are putting this flex in real life. So having said that, I'll go quick on this. You know very well the network from generation, transmission, distribution, renewables, of course. This is a no-brainer now. I would just like to spend 1 second on the prosumer part. So this is a big addition in our ecosystem. And we believe it is creating a big opportunity for us now, the prosumer, because we know they are consuming and producing. And this is where, if the grid is playing behind the meter and beyond the meter with all the DRs, EVs, PVs, this can create a big opportunity. So this is where we believe that Flex is really about making the most of the full ecosystem around the grid, which can make and unlock a big potential for all of us. So having said that, again, very quick, all of you know this. This is the linear, the flow that's happening. What's also interesting, just for us, more than 60% of the production, guys, still come from fossil energy, right, today. And moving forward, basically, we can see that by 2050, of course, we are moving to a more complex, bidirectional, flexible grid. And that's where, with Ludo, we will share some concrete examples. But again, you can see some of the overwhelming numbers again. More than 70% of the mix driven by renewable. 70 million EVs connected to the grid, 700 million, we can argue, is that a big risk or is that a big opportunity, right? And this is where, again, Flex comes in. More than 100 million households, so we are talking of rooftop solar, and of course, grid-scale battery storage, which is another big topic here. So on that note, maybe, Ludo, why don't you tell us what are the challenges behind this? And what was the history when the grid was originally designed?
Thanks, Ruben. So, as you said, the network grid is old. Everything has been built on the last century. It was not designed to host all the new DER that will connect on the network. We are speaking about the different energy resources, the DER, like wind farms, solar, rooftop, solar farms, but as well, this creating intermittent energy resources on the network that has to be managed. And today, the grid is become the bottleneck to connect all these resources. This creates as well many impact on the operational side on the grid, creating potentially, when you will connect all these DER, curtailment, load shedding, any outage management, but as well any DSO that we have are not familiar to operate with all these new resources, and that creates a huge number of operation on that. Let's take an example with the scenario in France with RTE. RTE is a transmission system operator in France. All the scenarios given by RTE show that the level of congestion on the network is on stress, the network will be crucial to manage. So TSO and DSO both will have to manage this, I will say, additional capacity on the network and creating more congestion on the network. And this will increase to reach, in fact, our ambition and goals of energy transition by 2050. So as we show on this one, we show as well the different growth of energy resources. So this is exponential. And that's why we need to accelerate the different implementation and investment on the grid. We say that in the future, and that will become a key driver for that, the key driver to form the new energy landscape is the role of prosumers in this new network. The prosumer could act on both sides, even activating more demanding resources like electrical vehicle charging station, and they can as well produce energy and inject power on the network with solar rooftop, for example. If we consider the scale of 100,000 customers injecting the power at higher period of summers, will inject more power, and that will create an additional impact on the DSO side. So let's see, Shub, what are the different stakeholders that we have in this part?
Absolutely. So here, starting by, of course, the flexibility platform that is connecting to all the different asset types, as you can see, talking of thermostats, solar, wind, EV, of course, going up to building controls. And I think it's important to understand that flexibility, of course, grid is a big actor, but it's not limited to the grid, right? We are also talking of flexibility at data centers, flexibility at buildings, flexibility for industrial sites. That's very important, the electro-intensive sites, because that's how all the ecosystem comes together. Of course, the different markets, how the different actors play in the market together, and then creating the value streams. And I guess the key message here that we really want to show, and we'll just deep dive into the very concrete cases just after, is the key message is technology exists, right? Technology exists. However, we have to think of how we come together in a very agile approach, in a very stepwise approach, how to really get there, right? And I think here partnership is key, how we play between the different actors in the ecosystem. So having said that, now let's see 4 different, very interesting, different use cases, different pain points, different parts of the world. So the first, we will start by California. So this is PG&E. Then we move closer to where we are in UK with our friends Electricity Northwest. Moving to further on the Asia side to Hong Kong, and then finishing further on with Australia, right? So let's start. So the first case we would like to share with you, very interesting example where we worked with Team Microsoft here, is PG&E. So PG&E is, of course, Pacific Gas and Electric with over 4 million electric customers and 5 million gas customers. So there is a typo on the slide because this one and this one has got interchanged. So sorry for that. The numbers here, the client description is actually on PG&E. So we discovered there was a slight problem on the slide, but bear with me again. So no issues. You got it right. Pacific Gas and Electric, so they are doing electric and gas. And I think one of their big challenges was basically how to manage a massive ramp up of DERs on their network. And they have a sustainability goal, a massive sustainability goal to achieve. So Ludo, tell us what we implemented and where are we on the journey with PG&E?
So PG&E is the right example of technology partnership that we have. As you said previously, we have different stakeholders in this system, and we synchronize, in fact, in the stepwise approach, all the development together to build a platform which is hosted on the cloud. So the cloud on Microsoft Azure. This technology has been defined for one goal: to be scalable at the right speed as well, to host all the amount of new DER that PG&E will have in the future years. So what is the plan of PG&E in the future years is to have a massive increase of different DERs, like electrical vehicles. They plan to have up to 3 million of electrical vehicles, 110 megawatt of DER, and as well to install more and more energy storage like battery. The Patty Pop, who is the CEO of PG&E, has defined this key investment for one goal. In fact, to reach the net zero carbon emission that they target in this direction, in this strategic direction of the company.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next one example.
Thanks, Ludo. And maybe just a compliment on this one, that thanks to this implementation, we've reduced the time of implementation by almost 30%, meaning what we do usually in a 2.5 year period, we have been doing it this year just over 7 months. So just to give you some data points of how, thanks to this partnership with Microsoft and PG&E, we are going fast with this flexible solution that we are proposing to the customer. So the next one is CLP. Of course, this is, so again, apologies for the data. The data of CLP was on the previous page, but managing 80% of the Hong Kong, the city of Hong Kong. And here the burning platform was actually the summer peak wave. So they had a massive peak of summer, if you remember. And this is where they really put a demand response program into play. So Ludo, tell us, thanks to the demand response program, what did they achieve?
Yes, CLP is a customer who manage, in fact, more than 5 million customers, as you say, and they have a big issue. During the peak summer period, every customer is activated the heaters, and when you have this peak of consumption, you have to start what we call picker plant. Okay, and the picker plant has a higher cost of energy during this period. So one of the key issues of CLP was to reduce this demand. Implementing a demand response program allow, in fact, to activate by the demand side and reducing all energy demand. In this case, we reduce the energy demand by 300 megawatts during a period of 8 hours with 600,000 customers across the cities. Of course, one of the key things during demand response program is the implementation of the engagement and the enrollment of the different prosumers in this program. This is the key recipe of success of any demand response program.
Right, that was very interesting. So then moving on to a customer closer to where we are. So we are now talking of ENWL in UK. So a very big customer, and I think one of the main challenges they had was how to manage faster DER integration to the grid. And again, the average time, and this was a real study done in the UK, the average time to connect and what's needed from an infrastructure standpoint is between 5 to 7 years. Of course, the customer and all of us, we did not want to wait that period. And this is where the solution that was implemented went pretty quick. So Ludo, tell us what was the solution and how did it help the customer?
Yes, sure. So as you said, we have the implementation. The average implementation is between 5 and 7 years, which struggle, in fact, the DSO to connect more and more DER on the network. This is one of the key challenge is to manage all these DER connection and to deal with all the different energy producer on the network. So we implement a solution which is called a grid DAM solution. In fact, to manage through a flexible connection agreement, this connection to DER, there is a specific activation of function in the UK market, which is called active network management. So we have implemented this characteristic on the network, and it allows, in fact, to connect the DER in the period of time less than 6 months. So going through 5 to 7 years to less than 6 months. So we are saving a lot of times. But as well, one of the key parts for the DSO is to defer the reinforcement of the grid infrastructure. As we said at the beginning, if we need to connect all the year on the network, we have to invest massively on the grid infrastructure. And we don't have the time at speed and at scale to do this kind of operation. That's why flexibility is one of the key operations that we can implement for the DSO to connect all this DR and to use to manage the grid reliability on the network.
Right. And then moving to the last example, so that's pretty interesting in Australia. So as you know, in Australia, we have one of the highest penetration of rooftop solars. And this was one of the burning platform, right, for Endeavour Energy, where they wanted to manage better this big population of prosumers that they had. So again, Ludo, what did we do?
So as we said in the previous session as well, one of the key things which is new on the network is the connection of these new prosumer on the network. These new prosumer have a different behaviors in terms of connection of new equipments like electrical vehicles that we say. So the challenge in this way is to implement a platform we can connect all these new IT devices, okay, to the grid network. How we do that? We implement the Edge DERMS platform, collecting all the data from the different prosumers, optimizing the different forecast of energy production, because we know that the solar rooftop has a direct impact on the grid stability and reliability on that. So that's why managing all these new devices and connecting directly and activated at the right time, at the right period, all these new resources was one of the key challenges of the customer. Of course, we scale step by step this approach because we have to manage a number of customers which is quite impressive in terms of we have thousands of customers to manage on that. And this is important, in fact, to use all the potential of a platform which is located in the cloud and have the possibility to manage more and more data to forecast the future production. For sure, for the end customer itself, there is a key benefit for that. They have 10% of energy billing at the end of every month. So this is a direct cost benefit for the customers, but for sure for the DSO, because the DSO is connected to any Edge DERMS platform. For the DSO itself, it allows to manage the grid reliability with all these new resources.
Right, thanks. So this brings to our conclusion. So first, I would really like to echo by saying that I think we've been hearing since yesterday many use cases from various customers, institutions, from Roberto and the team just in the session before, that this is really starting to move, right? Flex is really starting to move. And I think with some of the burning platform and numbers we saw in the beginning, I guess our key message is Flex cannot be an add-on on the top. Flexibility has to become a core. This has to become the foundation of how we have to think for the future to reach our goals, right? Our net zero goals. And again, just to remind that Flex will help us go much faster to that big net zero ambition that we have. Again, the technology exists. So please, if you haven't, visit us at our booth, just one floor below at the Schneider booth. We'll be very happy to showcase the different technologies we have. We have a very passionate team of experts there. And we have many other examples that we can go and discuss your use case, your pain point. We even have a small game on this that we would be happy to play with you if you are really happy to spend some time with us.